Sit. Sit. Twirl. Look at twirl. Twirl. Look at twirl. Twirl. That was
Good afternoon. I'm Eric Blank, the chair of the Colorado PUC. This is a virtual public comment hearing and proceeding number 25AL-0538G, PSCo's request for a rate increase for its gas customers. Before moving into public comments, we're going to start with a short introductory summary of the company's filing by the PUC Communications Director, Megan Castle. Megan? Oh, you're muted.
There you go. Okay. Hi, I'm Megan Castle, and thank you for joining the second virtual public comment hearing for Xcel Energy's proposed gas rate increase, proceeding number 25AL-0538G. And the first public comment hearing was held on May 21st. I'm going to share some information about the PUC process and then information about the gas rate increase proposal from Xcel. Regarding the PUC process, first, this is a gas rate case, which is a formal process to allow the PUC to determine if a utility's proposed rate increase is just and reasonable. These proceedings have extensive discovery, multiple rounds of pre-filed testimony, legal briefings, and it's similar to a civil court proceeding. The process starts with the utility filing what's called an advice letter with the Commission, and that explains the changes that the utility is requesting to make to its tariff. A tariff contains the terms and conditions, including prices, that the Commission authorizes the utility to implement. The advice letter is supported by written testimony from the utility that explains the utility's costs to provide service to customers in Colorado and what justifies the proposed rate increase. And now for some information about the gas rate proposal from Xcel. It was filed on December 29th, 2025. And if Xcel's proposal were to be approved by the Commission as filed, residential customers would see an average monthly increase of approximately 11.4%, and small businesses would see approximate increase of 13%. Due to these potential bill impacts, and with all rate cases, this gas rate case has followed a process that closely scrutinizes every aspect of Xcel's request. This review is done by PUC's own staff of economists, engineers, accountants, and who also participate in this case as a party, along with the utility and other interveners. There have been numerous parties that have interviewed in the case, including trial staff of the Commission, the Utility Consumer Advocate, the Colorado Energy Office, the City of Boulder, Climax, and several others. The Commission has received written testimony from parties and is presently holding an evidentiary hearing. Prior to the hearing that began yesterday morning, most of the parties in this case reached a settlement agreement that's intended to resolve all the issues in the case, including the establishment of new rates to take effect in October and enhancements to Xcel's bill assistance program. The settlement was filed in the proceeding on July 13th, and you can see this either on the e-filing system or through the PUC's website in our key issues section. If the settlement agreement is approved by the Commission without modifications, Xcel's gas base rate revenues would increase by $122 million, and residential monthly bills would increase by approximately 8.6%. After the hearing, the Commission will take up the matter for decision and set just and reasonable rates to be assessed by Xcel to its customers going forward. A decision is expected at the beginning of October. You can learn more about this hearing at the PUC Key Issues Gas Rate Case webpage from the home page of the PUC website. And you can also find out how to provide comments either online, email, mail, or phone And thank you for joining the PUC today.
Thank you. With that, it's a little after 4 p.m. on July 28th, and we're now on the record. Again, this is public comment hearing and proceeding number 25AL-0538G, a request by Public Service Company of Colorado for a rate increase for its gas customers. I'm Eric Blank, the chair of the Colorado PUC, and I just want to start off thanking everybody for joining us here today. For me, I always enjoy this part of the job, as public comment hearings are a critical part of this process and one of the most valuable, where we get to hear directly from impacted customers and other stakeholders. These are difficult and challenging issues, and we certainly don't have all the answers, which is why hearing from you is so important. With that, can my colleagues introduce themselves for the record and share any preliminary thoughts?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom Plan, a commissioner, and just want to echo the thoughts of the chair. It's always important for us to hear from the public. I see a number of familiar names, but some new ones as well. And so it's really great to have an opportunity to hear your perspectives on this current rate case, and I appreciate your taking the time to give us your input. So thanks.
Commissioner Gilman.
Hi, Commissioner Megan Gilman. Happy to be with you all this afternoon, and just want to appreciate you all taking time out of your day to come share your thoughts with us. As my colleagues each said, this is a very important part of the process, in large part too, because we hear throughout a lot of these proceedings people describing what people think. And I like to hear people say what people think. So very helpful to have you all here so we can hear directly from impacted customers and others your views in this proceeding. So very much appreciate it.
Thank you both. In terms of logistics, this public hearing today is being recorded. It will always be live, including during any breaks. There's a court reporter who's listening to this comment hearing and will take down what you say for the record. This comment hearing is formal, like a court proceeding, and we ask that you all be respectful of the speakers. In our role as commissioners at this stage of the process, we are here to listen and learn and make sure your comments are reflected in the record. We will not be able to answer questions or respond to statements, as, like a judge, we cannot engage in dialogue on a case pending before us. This case is ongoing, and we will not make any decisions until after the evidentiary hearing, which is currently underway. I will call on commenters today based on the order in which people have held up their hands. We'll also start with elected officials, if any. To allow everyone the opportunity to be heard, we'd request that each speaker limit their comments to 3 minutes. We'd also welcome written comments at any time, which can be filed through the Commission's e-filing system, submitted by the online comment form, or email to dora_puc_comments@state.co.us. In each case, please specify this proceeding number 25AL-0538G. The Commission equally weighs public comments received written or orally. So we encourage everyone to follow up by filing whatever you'd like in written form. With that, I want to thank everyone again for taking the time to be here and share your comments. With that, we'll now get started. And I see Paul Colnan first. Mr. Colnan.
Wow, great. It's an honor. Thank you, Chairman Blank and Commissioner Plant, Commissioner Gilman. Have to admit, I've been listening to a little bit of the hearing earlier this afternoon.
My condolences.
And I've read a little bit of the documents that have been filed in the case, and I'm not going to get into the minutia, and no way I personally could understand everything that's going on in this case. But you guys are doing this heroic effort to go through all of this. It's just mind-boggling, the amount of detail you have to go through, and all the various legal back and forth, and it's quite an effort. And really appreciated that you guys are on the case. It seems the result is that Excel makes $900 million a year in profit. And to me, that just shows that the system is broken. That you guys, with all of your best efforts, can't seem to control the monster of Excel. And the only way I know of that's legal for us as citizens would be to municipalize. And that's, as we've discussed in Boulder, that's very, very difficult to do. So I don't know what the answers are, but I just say good luck to you guys. And if you come up with any ideas about how we can fix this system, make it actually work, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Nina Waters.
Hello, good afternoon. Can you guys hear me all right?
We can.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And I can say that I too enjoy public comments. So we share that. Thank you, Chair and Commissioners, and thank you for this opportunity to comment on Public Service Company of Colorado's proposed natural gas rate increase. While we continue in Summit County our work towards electrification and eliminating the need for fossil fuels, natural gas still remains a critical source of energy in the rural resort community of Summit County. While I and my fellow commissioners recognize the importance of maintaining and upgrading infrastructure, that investment must be balanced with both affordability and a climate positive future. With this proposal, the average gas bill would increase approximately 10%, with disproportionate impacts to cold climate communities like us here in Summit County. As a local elected official, I hear regularly from my residents struggling with the rising cost of housing, groceries, insurance, healthcare, family care, and transportation. Utility affordability remains to be a growing pressure point, particularly for working families and the vital resources that our service workers provide in our high cost of living area. Beyond the affordability, raising the price of gas doesn't actually disincentivize its use, given that Xcel has proposed a similar rate increase for their electric customers. In fact, electrification in the high country remains prohibitively expensive, as Xcel rebates can be difficult to access, and they don't take into account how much further you must stretch a single dollar here in the mountains. I appreciate Xcel's minor contribution of $5 million to assist low-income gas customers. However, like the $5 million proposed in the aforementioned gas or electric rate case, the program lacks specific details that would reassure my community about the financial relief provided to residents. Additionally, the positive impacts of these incentive programs would be limited due to the number of customers. And this program doesn't address the underlying factors contributing to our rising cost. I respectfully urge you as the Commission to approve the proposed low-income program enhancements, require the development of income qualified rates in the next rate case, and initiate a broader examination of affordability and rate design to address the structural causes of these rising gas bills. I also ask that Xcel put more effort into electrification rather than maintaining the high cost associated with gas infrastructure and inventory. I know that we can all agree that Colorado's energy future must be reliable, clean, and affordable. And I encourage the Commission to keep affordability at the forefront of your decision-making in this case. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Councilmember Catherine Goff.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Catherine Goff, council member for the city of Northglenn. Northglenn's gas service comes from Xcel Energy, and we were very concerned to see that the 11% increase in cost that Xcel is requesting in this case. That cost is based mostly on Xcel building new gas pipelines, which makes no sense in a world headed toward electrification. I urge this commission to protect people from costs by changing Xcel's profit incentives. Xcel has requested this 11% increase, a high jump that is based not on fuel prices, but on the new gas infrastructure that the company has built. These gas pipelines serve new customers who could be using options like heat pumps that don't need the additional infrastructure. Worse, these pipelines will be obsolete well before the end of their 50-year lifespan. At least we'd better hope so, because if we're still using fossil fuels to heat our homes in 50 years, we will be committed to a climate catastrophe. Xcel's incentives right now leave us with both ends of a bad deal. For families living paycheck to paycheck, as so many do, an 11% hike to their energy bills is a serious burden. As a Northglenn City Council member, it's my job to look out for members of my community who can't afford to take such a hit to their finances. I know this is something the Commission takes seriously as well. On the other hand, Xcel's incentives mean they can keep building gas infrastructure and raking in profit from doing so, even when climate change demands that we phase out fossil fuel energy. Coloradans then pay the costs, both for the infrastructure and for the carbon pollution that natural gas causes. Xcel has very little incentive to do anything differently. We know that a settlement agreement has been proposed, which slightly lowers the cost to Coloradans from the initial proposal and adjusts some of these incentives. While there are positive aspects of the settlement, and we appreciate the Commissioner's line of inquiry in this case, we would certainly support the Commission going further than the settlement contemplates. We agree better long-term solutions like securitization and improved metering to ensure the system is being right-sized and are things that need to be looked at. Whoa, what a tongue twister. In filing this case with an exorbitant tax rate hike, Xcel has made many parties spend significant time and resources to defend against their unreasonable profit requests. Xcel is still spending too much on the gas system and asking all of us to pay for it. While I support the settlement, Xcel needs to bring more reasonable proposals to the Commission that reflect a transition to clean energy. If they can't do that, then the Commission should adopt real penalties for Xcel's refusal to make the needed changes to their business model. It is not acceptable for Xcel to externalize its costs onto Coloradans, whether in the form of outdated infrastructure or climate impacts. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Greatly appreciate it. Thanks for joining us. Julian Guevara.
Hello, good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Julian Guevara, and I'm a community organizer, a resident of Lakewood, and an Xcel customer. Thank you for taking the time today to hear from Coloradans about these important decisions. I urge the Commission to reject unnecessary portions of Xcel's proposed rate increases and to prioritize affordability for Colorado families. As someone who works closely with the communities across the state who are perhaps the most heavily impacted by these decisions, I regularly hear from families who are already struggling with the rising cost of housing, groceries, healthcare, utilities, and another increase in energy bills would place an even greater burden on households that are already stretched far too thin. What concerns me most is that these requests come while Xcel continues to report strong financial performance. According to the information before the Commission, Xcel generated nearly $1 billion in net profit in Colorado in 2025, while many customers are falling behind on their utility bills. At the same time, these same customers are being asked to pay for continued investments in infrastructure that may not be necessary and that could lock Coloradans into higher costs for decades. As a regulated monopoly, Xcel has a responsibility to provide safe, reliable, and affordable service rather than to maximize profits at the expense of its customers. I respectfully ask the Commission to protect Colorado families by rejecting unjustified rate increases and ensuring that affordability remains at the center of your decision. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Mr. Eric Frankowski.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yep. Can you get your camera higher to your face?
I'm just going to start this way. Perhaps it's fortuitous. A few miles from the Commission's offices tonight, AC/DC is taking the stage. So perhaps that's a good omen for moving away from gas and decarbonization. Rock on.
We need an inverter.
I knew everybody needed a laugh. Thanks to the commission for scheduling today's public comment session on the proposed gas rate increase. My name is Eric Frankowski, and I've been a Boulder County resident since 1986, living in Longmont for the past 27 years. For 25 of those, I was an Xcel Energy gas customer. Thankfully, I'm no longer taking Xcel gas service. I have my home fully electrified now. I'm also the executive director of an organization called the Western Clean Energy Campaign and an occasional commenter in PUC proceedings. While I recognize that there's a proposed settlement agreement that has the support of the majority of the interveners in this docket, including several whose work I greatly respect, I still think it's worth noting that even with a 1/3 reduction in Xcel's requested rate recovery, it's still too much. This assessment is a result of Xcel's continued slow walk of decarbonizing its gas operations. The company keeps sinking money into its gas system when it should be driving full speed ahead on electrification, and then it asks customers to cover those costs for decades. When you say yes to those requests, there's little incentive for it to stop doing what it's doing. We know that Xcel will do whatever it can to maximize gas operations because they're a huge profit center. The more they spend on pipelines and distribution centers, the more they can squeeze out of customers. In the last decade, the number of residential customers on public services gas system has grown by about 10%. In that same time frame, residential gas deliveries are slightly down, meaning more customers are using less gas. Yet in that same 10-year span, public services gas operating revenue is $500 million more than it was in 2016, and revenue from selling gas to residential customers is up 47%. So a few more customers are using less gas, and yet public services pocketing massive gains in profits. I follow the commission proceedings fairly closely, and it strikes me that Xcel consistently plays the kind of games you see from used car salesmen. Don't you think it's a bit suspicious that they keep bringing bloated proposals to the table, and then after wasting lots of time and resources in proceedings like this, they agree to a settlement that lops a big chunk off the top and make it seem like they're offering a reasonable compromise, when in reality, the final offer is what they should have started with. It would be nice for the commission to put a stop to this kind of gamesmanship. I realize the commission is going to make a decision based on the evidentiary record, and that when you have a proposed settlement agreement supported by an overwhelming majority of diverse interveners, it's hard not to sign off. But I'd like to close saying that a rate case like this is a golden opportunity for the PUC to send a signal to Xcel that customers will no longer be saddled with the cost of unnecessary gas expansions. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak tonight, and for everybody else that will listen in, and I'm headed off to the concert. Thank you.
Enjoy. Thanks for joining us. Ms. Myers.
Hello and good afternoon. My name is Bridget Myers, and I'm a Boulder County resident, and I'm also a member of the environmental group 350 Colorado. I'm respectfully requesting the commission reject Xcel Energy's proposed $122 million increase to gas rates for Colorado customers. Xcel Energy reported more than $900 million in operating profits in 2025. This is not a company in financial distress. This is a company asking regulators to let ordinary families shoulder even more of its cost structure while it delivers strong returns to shareholders. Meanwhile, Colorado households are being squeezed from every direction. The cost of bread and meat keeps climbing, rent keeps climbing, childcare costs for families keep climbing, and wages are not keeping pace. Raises, when they come at all, are modest, while the basics eat up more of every paycheck. Against that backdrop, a $122 million rate hike isn't a technical adjustment on a utility spreadsheet. Rather, it's a direct hit to family budgets that are already stretched thin. It means harder choices between keeping the heat on and buying groceries, between paying rent and paying the gas bill. Utilities like Xcel operate as regulated monopolies precisely because customers don't get to choose an alternative provider. That arrangement only works if the commission holds the line on what's generally necessary cost versus what's simply a need for more profit. A $900 million profit last year is not evidence of need. It's evidence that Xcel can absorb costs without without passing them straight to ratepayers. So I urge the Commission to scrutinize this request very closely, reject the rate increase, that it's not clearly justified, and then prioritize that affordability for the Coloradans who have no choice but to pay whatever rate is approved. Thank you for considering my comment.
Thank you for joining us. Ms. Leslie Shine.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Leslie Shine. I'm a doctor of physical therapy and I work with children and adolescents. I am also a healthcare advocate with Healthy Air and Water Colorado, and I'm an Excel customer. So thank you so much for the opportunity to provide public comment today. As a healthcare provider, I'm seeing the impacts of affordability on my patients' everyday lives and impacts on their health. When utility bills continue to rise, people are forced to make impossible choices between paying for their utilities, buying groceries, filling their prescriptions, or seeking medical care. As an anecdote, I recently had a patient that told me he wasn't icing his knee after his recent surgery because his family simply couldn't afford to purchase the ice for his ice machine. And while this example doesn't have lasting impacts, missing medications, foregoing healthcare appointments, and deferring preventative health care because families are prioritizing household utility payments will absolutely have lasting negative health consequences. While I appreciate that the proposed settlement reduces the size of Excel's original request, it doesn't change the fundamental problem. Excel continues to invest heavily in expanding its gas system when Colorado's future and our state law require a transition toward cleaner, healthier energy options. Customers are subsequently asked to pay for these investments for decades. This isn't a healthy or affordable path forward. From a health perspective, continued reliance on methane gas has real negative health consequences for all of us. Pollution from fossil fuels contributes directly to asthma, heart disease, and respiratory illnesses. Climate change, which we know is driven in large part by fossil fuel use, is already increasing health impacts that we see in Colorado, from extreme heat exposure to wildfire smoke, unhealthy ozone levels all summer, and longer allergy seasons. Affordability is both an economic and a health issue. More than 27,000 Colorado households have fallen behind on their utility bills. As a health professional, I know that financial stress harms health by increasing anxiety, depression, and chronic disease, while making it harder for people to meet their very basic needs. The Commission has repeatedly directed Excel to move away from a business-as-usual approach to gas system planning. This case is an opportunity to reinforce that direction by ensuring customers are not left paying for unnecessary gas infrastructure. I encourage the Commission to continue sending a clear message that future investments should prioritize affordability, cleaner energy, and the health of Colorado communities. Thank you so much for your time and for your consideration in allowing this comment today.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Ms. Linda Campbell.
Hi, I am Linda Campbell. I'm a member of Third Act, which is an organization that was started by Bill McKibben, and I'm also a grandmother. Eric Blank, in his introductory comment, said these are difficult decisions. I respectfully disagree. The earth is burning. We all must do everything in our power as individuals, groups, and businesses to move away from a reliance on oil and gas. Please require Excel to stop their overinvestment in their gas systems and move all resources to their renewable energy systems. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kristen Condit.
Hi there, thank you. I'm Chris Condit, a Denver resident and co-facilitator of Third Act Colorado. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts on Excel's proposed gas rate increase. A recent article in the Colorado Sun titled "Colorado Drought Increasingly Linked to Long-Term Climate Change" explains that this year's devastating snow drought in the upper Colorado River Basin was made 14 times more likely by years of global climate change, according to a new study by Colorado School of Mines researchers. I will now read the abstract from the report that was the result of that study. In the spring of 2026, anomalously low snow conditions in the western United States threatened winter recreation and water supplies. Here, we investigate to what extent was this snow drought attributable to the climate change that has occurred since the pre-industrial period. We find that a snow drought this severe across the western United States was approximately 4.4 times more likely in the current climate than in the pre-industrial period. In the upper Colorado River Basin, the snow drought was approximately 14 times more likely. Given a projected increase in the frequency of snow droughts, at least this severe, in a moderately high emissions warming scenario, the lived experience of this event may help scientists, resource managers, and the public consider what Western US snow might look like if greenhouse gas emissions are not aggressively reduced. So we drastically need Excel to show the kind of leadership that is required to aggressively reduce greenhouse gas emissions, not to build more gas infrastructure. Because Excel operates as a government-sanctioned monopoly, that also makes them a steward of the expected outcomes from their actions. They need to demonstrate that a commitment to renewable energy is more important than the short-term profits of their shareholders. As it seems clear that Excel does not take their responsibility seriously enough, I sincerely request, I beg you, that the members of the PUC help lead Excel to a sensible conclusion. As a grandmother and an Excel customer, I thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Mr. Eric Elkins.
Hi there, I'm Eric Elkins, CEO of Wide Focus Social Media. It's a social media agency based here in Denver, which I started way back in 2007. We've been doing this for 19 years. I'm also a member of Good Business Colorado. We are a remote organization, but my leadership team is here in Colorado. I live in Colorado. We all depend on Excel for our service. And having remote workers means home offices. And that makes home utility bills a business cost. And so what that means for us is the rate hikes hit my team directly, beyond their household budgets because they're home all day on the computer, heating their homes and air conditioning their homes during the day. And as a small agency, our margins are tight by design. So a 20% jump in electric rates isn't an abstract thing. It's money my employees can't spend on rent, groceries, or frankly, staying in Colorado. And for me as a business owner, attracting and retaining employees means needing to pay them more so that they can keep up, so that they can take care of their kids and pay their healthcare costs. And as these energy prices rise, it makes it even harder for me to retain those employees. And our Colorado clients are suffering too. Less money, more money on energy and utilities means less money that they're spending on marketing and other key areas of running their businesses. And when they're not spending on marketing, that affects my business as well because they hire us to do that. And I can't pass these costs on to clients the way a larger company might. So I feel like this new ask is pretty unreasonable from Excel, considering they're nearly $1 billion in profit in Colorado in the last year, which is the highest ever. Their CEO got a 24% pay raise up to $16 million. Most of us don't get that cushion. And this playbook that they do again and again of inflating the ask, settling for quote unquote less, and then still ending up with us paying more is a pattern I'd really love for the commission to start to come down hard on. I'm asking you to reject the new electric rate request as it was filed, stop letting this Excel's pattern of over asking and slow walking reforms continue to slide, and hold them accountable for what they've already been told to do and been committed to do. And honestly, as a business owner, really just hoping you'll help protect Colorado small businesses and the workers who live here. Colorado is supposed to be this, and it is, this welcoming, beautiful place to live. It should be a welcoming place to run a small business and to build a life. And rate hikes at this scale make both of those things harder. So Excel's investors are doing just fine without our help. And as Colorado residents, we need to come together and make sure that they're maintaining their commitments and that they aren't continuing to raise prices when they don't need to. Thank you.
Thank you. Giselle Gardia Pinera.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
We can.
Sorry, I'm gonna have my camera off because I'm having faulty Wi-Fi, so I hope that's okay. My
Yep.
name is Giselle Gardea, and I'm an Excel customer. I'm here today as a concerned consumer and as someone who works with a nonprofit organization that directly engages with communities most affected by your commission's decision. I'm speaking today because I'm deeply concerned about Coloradans facing an increase in utility bills and the cost of unnecessary gas expansions. Rising utility bills hit low-income, rural, and working families first, including many Latino and Latina households. Our communities are often located near polluted areas and already breathe air filled with toxins. The Public Utilities Commission has a responsibility to protect us from unnecessary rate increases and from decisions that deepen the environmental burden we already carry. The PUC must ensure that equity is enforced throughout these critical decision-making processes, and my community deserves to live in clean environments and have access to sustainable alternatives. Excel continues to gain record fuel earnings by increasing rates charged to customers. Company stocks are near record highs, and investors receive ever-growing payouts while Coloradans see an increase in their utility bills. Investors clearly invest in Excel because they know they will see sufficient returns. Excel is making capital. In 2025, Excel generated $5.7 billion in revenue from its electric and gas businesses in the state for a net profit of just under $1 billion, 34% higher than it had ever earned before. Taxpayers and the general public bear the burden of health inequities caused by polluted air while companies continue to profit. This reinforces a systematic issue, the prioritization of profit over people's health, rights, and well-being. The Commission can hold Excel accountable by preventing unnecessary spending on its gas system and ensuring Coloradans do not face higher utility bills. I want to thank the Public Utilities Commission for its ongoing commitment to hearing from Coloradans who care deeply about our renewable energy future. Please take our concerns seriously and engage in direct action to ensure Colorado is clean, reliable, and cared for. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Hoffman.
Thank you. My name is Chris Hoffman. I'm an Excel customer and I live in Boulder. And thank you again, commissioners, for taking the time to hear our thoughts. We all have been enduring record-breaking heat wave. Colorado is drying out. The San Luis Valley is one of the fastest warming and drying regions in the Southwest. The Colorado River is running low on water. According to recent reports by Big Pivots, the last time the combined water stored in the basin's two biggest reservoirs, Meade and Powell, was so low was in 1957, and that was because all that water was in Lake Meade. Glen Canyon Dam was still being constructed. There was no water in that reservoir. An expert quoted in the article said, "We're now seeing the very real possibility that Lake Meade is going to go to 900 feet by next year, and that would be just 10 feet above Deadpool. All this is driven by human-caused climate change. It's time to stop messing around about climate change. The key driver of climate change is methane, also known as natural gas. There is every reason in the world to stop building natural gas infrastructure, and there is no reason in the world that anyone should profit from building it. I ask that the commissioners send a strong signal to Excel by denying any rate increase tied to expanding its methane gas system. And furthermore, I ask that the Commission require developers and new gas customers to pay the costs of any new infrastructure to connect to the gas system. Under the current practice, those costs are spread to all Excel customers, with Excel earning a rate of return on these payments for decades. By doing these things, you can help protect the communities and nature we love for all of us and for coming generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Cara DePon.
Yes, thank you. Afternoon. First, I want to thank the PUC for letting me speak today. My name is Cara DePan, and I'm a resident of Lakewood in Jefferson County. As a young adult who lives with their partner in Colorado, we definitely feel the pain of rising costs, particularly energy costs within Colorado. Like many others across the Front Range, Excel is our energy provider. And I've noticed a trend, not just with Excel, but with other big corporations too, how they seem to get richer while consumers' bills seem to get more expensive. And from my perspective, it's a little wild that CEO Bob Frenzel had a pay increase by 24% from 2024 to 25, like Eric had mentioned earlier, while many Coloradans are struggling with rising everyday costs with just about everything. One thing that really struck and frustrated me as someone who cares deeply about our climate is how Excel is seeking additional funding from customers to keep coal plants running that they already said would retire. I strongly urge the PUC to reject any proposal Excel has on keeping coal plants open. This heat wave we're currently experiencing is a direct cause of climate change and well illustrates what the continual pollution does to our everyday lives and also our beautiful wildlife, our water and forests. And then lastly, the shutoff to me is a clear sign that Excel knows that their infrastructure is not reliable in certain weather conditions. We'll be bound to have to, shut off our power every time the weather isn't reliable, which will be more intense with the drought we're in. Or could Excel move towards a more affordable and, most importantly, a safer power grid? Again, thanks for the opportunity to speak, and my name is Cara.
Thank you for joining us today, Teddy Wilkinson.
All right. Thank you, commissioners, for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Teddy Wilkinson, Sustainability Administrator for the town of Breckenridge. Breckenridge is a gas-constrained community, and we are actively pursuing ways to move beyond reliance on gas. Building gas infrastructure in the mountains is particularly expensive, and part of the reason Breckenridge is working with the company to implement non-pipeline alternatives in our area. It just makes no sense to build new gas infrastructure when better alternatives are available. For Excel, however, their biggest profits come from building new infrastructure, and they have taken full advantage of that fact. The largest portion of any Coloradoan's gas bill now comes from paying for infrastructure rather than the actual natural gas itself. Today, 1/3 of charges to gas customers in Colorado are for gas, and 2/3 are for delivery charges. No matter how gas prices may fall, these delivery charges will not go down, and they are costing working families. I'm asking this commission to right-size incentives for Excel to ensure that the company is not simply building infrastructure to feed its profits. The rate increase that Excel is requesting is intended to shore up Colorado's gas infrastructure system. This commission needs to continue to scrutinize Excel's investments and ensure the projects are necessary and not just a way to squeeze more profit out of an old technology when we have cheaper, cleaner alternatives available. We've appreciated the commission's line of inquiry throughout this hearing. We agree that better long-term solutions like securitization and improved metering should be pursued. It was particularly clear from yesterday's discussion that what Metering Excel does on its system is used to identify opportunities to grow its capacity, not track declining use or discern fair and equitable cost impacts for different customer types on the system. We are asking you to create incentives and penalties to reflect the infrastructure that Colorado actually needs. That is less natural gas and more electricity. Let's be honest, Excel's mandate as a corporation is to maximize their profit. The commission must design Excel's profit structure so that it rewards the energy system we need to address both affordability and climate change. As their proposal has clearly demonstrated, Excel won't get there on their own, and it falls on this commission to create the right structures for that outcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ryan Loma.
Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Brian Loma. I am both a business owner and a resident in Denver, Colorado, where I pay, I'm a ratepayer for Xcel Energy in both my residential and business rentals. As a customer, I have the ability to see my usage year to year, unless I move properties, of course, and then you can't see those changes. And while in 2025, Xcel Energy reported $2.02 billion in profits for their shareholders, my my rates aren't going down, and while my usage is. And this, sorry, losing my space on my notes here. This money is generated, the money that they're generating is being generated not only for electricity and natural gas, but they have fluctuating rates based on the time of consumption. And where my overall electric and gas use has gone down, my bills continue to increase. The high costs of natural gas infrastructure are well known. Focusing on increasing this infrastructure and new construction is in bad faith with Colorado's focus on decreasing greenhouse gas emissions. The focus of these rate increases is in large part to support new pipelines, instead of focusing on the electrification of new development, including the development of microgrids. As a member of Good Business Colorado and Green Latinos Colorado, I have worked with communities and businesses alike who are struggling to stretch the dollars that are coming in as they face increased costs across the board. These pricing and structures are disingenuous and should be voted down. Xcel Energy stockholders consistently generate dividends on their shares, while Colorado residents are facing increased costs in the daily costs of living, and their energy usage and our dependence on gas should be continued to be reduced, not maintained or increased in the infrastructure. So it's for these reasons that I, as all these testimonials before me, are asking you to vote down this rate increase. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for joining us, Ms. Elizabeth Smith.
I'm working on it. Okay, there we go.
There you
Good
are.
afternoon, commissioners. Thank you for listening to us. My name's Elizabeth Smith. I'm an Xcel customer and I live in Wheat Ridge. I think Xcel is spending way too much on gas infrastructure, especially given the climate that we're in, when they should be doing more to support electrification. Also, frankly, it's really hard to stomach Xcel's arguments when it is bringing in huge profits. I think they have a huge credibility problem. I'm not impressed by Xcel's concessions in the proposed settlement. They're far too small, and Xcel, again, is doing far too little to move Colorado towards electrification. I would ask the commissioners to vote down the rate request. And I'm not pleased with any settlement. It's not enough. And I don't think it's in the best interest of Coloradans. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you for joining us. Greatly appreciate it. Ms. Barbara Donici.
Hi, can you?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. My name's Barbara Donici. I have lived in Colorado since 1973, and I've been a ratepayer for over 40 years. My 3 adult children live in Colorado as well, most in Denver, and we have been or currently Xcel ratepayers. We're also, all of us in our family are concerned about the impacts that fossil fuels are having on the climate, both locally and globally. So in part, I'm speaking on behalf of my grandchildren also, who go to a school in Globeville, which is in the most polluted zip code, one of the most impacted zip codes, as I'm sure you know. And there are children there who are going to school in a polluted area, and then they are going home to potentially exposure to indoor pollution. So those are my concerns. I have a master's degree in public health from the Colorado School of Public Health. And from all the studies that I have read, and many of them have been conducted by the Colorado School of Public Health, it's clear that the fossil fuel industry and the transporting and burning of gas has contributed both to the impacts of climate change that we're seeing today and last week and to come, and fires, and that it has harmed the health of Coloradans. And again, I wanted to mention, our children live in a time when it's dangerous to be outside and it's potentially dangerous to be inside. And I appreciate the comments of and agree with the comments of Dr. Shine. Xcel states in its most recent customer rate increase notice that natural gas also plays an essential role in Colorado's clean energy transition. As we work toward net zero emissions by 2050 and support customer electrification efforts, the infrastructure investments we make today will enable innovative solutions tomorrow using our existing natural gas system. I haven't seen any evidence of this, and if I in any way believed it, I might feel differently. But right now, I strongly oppose raising customer gas rates to further expand our gas infrastructure, particularly at a time when so many people are facing financial stress, and we collectively are moving toward more efficient energy electrification that is required by state law. So I respectfully request that, though I appreciate that a settlement agreement has reduced the amount that that I would still say reject any increase in rates on the part of Xcel that are going to impact the most vulnerable people, the most financially stressed. And I thank you for your time. And I thank you for listening. I think we all feel like that the Public Utilities Commission actually does kind of listen to us. So thank you.
We're trying.
I know.
Thank you. Ms. Andrews.
Hi there, am I live?
You are.
All right. Thank you very much, commissioners. Again, my name is Dr. Ellie Andrews. I'm an Xcel customer, albeit with solar panels, and I live in Greeley in Weld County. Those solar panels were only affordable for my family because we live in such a polluted area. It's considered a disproportionately impacted community, and so we got some rebates because of it. That's a pretty ugly trade-off. There are 1,000 reasons to get off methane gas: the local air quality index, my 3-year-old, my 4-year-old, the weird cough that my husband has had since we moved here. Those are just a few reasons. I'm also an environmental social scientist. I've taught and conducted research on energy at CSU and most recently at the School of Mines. I worked with the authors of the study that Christine Condit brought up tonight. I represent only myself and my children tonight, but I am marshaling decades of research. And so I think a lot about the trade-offs associated with providing reliable and affordable energy. That's my job. But there are a couple of simple truths at the core. First, methane gas is yesterday's energy source, and everything else in the next 1, 10, 50 years comes after that first principle. But Xcel is sinking money into its gas system when it should instead be going full speed ahead on electrification in alignment with the required transition here in Colorado, as other folks have pointed out. And then it wants customers to cover those costs in the decades to come, even though that infrastructure will likely be stranded, kind of obsolete assets in fairly short time. And that relates to the second simple truth, that Xcel's profits and its executive compensation are simply too high. It's not right. It goes against a fair society. They're doing that classic tactic of privatizing profits while socializing or outsourcing the costs. And there's enough to go around when utilities like Xcel don't suck it all up. The right investments in energy and in infrastructure will make everyone more prosperous in the long run, and not even that long of a run. So I don't spend my time very much on parts per million. I study how people and institutions actually change. And that research tells us a couple of relevant things here. First, there's path dependency. Every bit of money that Xcel puts into infrastructure now locks in behavior, it locks in budgets, it locks in kind of a status quo for decades. And the deeper that lock-in goes, the harder and more expensive that eventual switch becomes, both for Xcel and for ratepayers. Second, the research on risk is clear that unplanned abrupt shifts in terms of like our energy transition lead to backlash and distrust, while transitions that we can see coming and prepare for are much more have much more durable public support. And so planning deliberately makes that transition sustainable, technically, politically, socially. And finally, procedural justice matters just as much as the outcome. So when we hold, when the Public Utility Commissions holds utilities accountable, that builds public trust to get communities through these hard changes together. And you, the Commission, have the power to decide which of those paths we're on. So please make the courageous choice today. And if you'll excuse me, I have to go pick up my kids from daycare at 5 o'clock. So thank you very much for listening. I would love to hear more about why you love the public comment. I don't know if you're getting, yeah, but another day, I hope. Thank you.
Thank you. Be well. Appreciate you joining us. Ms. Lehman. Oh, there you are.
Sorry about that. Hi, I'm Rachel Lehman, and I'm with Physicians for Social Responsibility Colorado. And I'm also a ratepayer of Xcel's as well. And I reside in North Denver. Xcel continues to pour money into coal, fossil fuels, and nuclear generation. These aren't just expensive choices, they're unsafe. And they worsen our air and water quality. They're putting everyone's health at risk. It's tough to justify investing in an infrastructure that is outdated and polluting, and energy sources that are, again, outdated and cause so much destruction. Solar is now the cheapest and safest option around. Why not put that money into solar infrastructure and finally give ratepayers a break, and also our environment? There's an unacceptable health toll from residential drilling and fracking, risks that include documented links to childhood leukemia. The Colorado Emergency Management Commission is ignoring solid evidence and science from the Colorado School of Public Health, as you've already heard about. 2 other peer-reviewed studies and the 2015 edition of PSR's Compendium on the Risks of and Harms of Fracking. This compendium actually helped New York ban fracking over a decade ago. Recognizing that the threats to health, safety, climate, and water supply aren't worth it, I encourage the Commission to heed the science and act accordingly, protecting the public. Add in Xcel's pattern of rate hikes, poor customer service, and questionable consumer protections. It is clear these decisions aren't just about profit margins. They shape daily life, public health, and the state's ability to meet its climate goals. Colorado deserves better than being locked into dirty, expensive energy while affordable, clean alternatives are already available. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you joining us. Is there anyone else who would like to offer comments? Please hold up your hand or turn on your camera. All right, maybe we'll take a break till 5:30 and we'll come back and check in at 5:30. I'll just see one more time. Is there anyone who'd like to offer comments before we take a break? All right, let's take a break till 5:30. If we could hold up a sign letting people know we're on break, that'd be great. Thanks. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak who hasn't spoken? All right, let's come back at 5:45 and we'll see if there's anybody else. If not, we'll call it. Going once, going twice. Thanks. Just one final time, we're in a public comment hearing in the Public Service Company rate case 25AL-0538G. Any final comments from the public? Ms. Campbell.
Hi, good evening, and thank you for being there and taking public comment. I appreciate being able to sign in a little bit late as I had to facilitate a meeting that ended just shortly ago. My name is Velma Campbell. I am a medical doctor specializing in public health from Pueblo, Colorado. And I am, as you know, as I mentioned, from Pueblo, and our community and the surrounding area will be significantly impacted, for better or worse, by the decisions made both on this settlement and on the rate increase in general. And I have appreciated in listening to the testimony when I was able to, the questions from the commissioners about both the size and scope of the requested rate increase in the settlement and in general, and also in your interest in precise data and the decoupling or demotivating of gas growth from the rate increases. Economically, while this settlement does lower some of the rate increases, it's only a small improvement. Xcel's rate of return under this settlement is still very significant and helps explain the revenue levels generated by this corporation. Low-income communities such as Pueblo will be disproportionately negatively impacted by any increase in our residential and small business gas bills, while the shareholders of Xcel will likely not notice any slightly smaller increase in their dividends if this rate increase were to be denied. Promising, as I've heard a couple of times during testimony, to look into undefined electrification projects and as a means of both mitigating the unnecessary projected growth of gas in our state and also mitigating costs to the customers is a nice idea, but it doesn't really make the grade in terms of specific alternative actions by the corporation. As a public health person, I do want to encourage the commission to continue curbing the enthusiasm for speculative projections of growth in gas when, as has been obvious to anybody trying to breathe the smoke-filled air, we need to be moving away from gas. We need to be moving towards renewable energy. And I appreciate your efforts and consideration in those aspects of this decision making. So thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us, Dr. Campbell. Appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? All right. Well, I just want to thank everybody who's left and still listening for turning out. Geez, a very well-informed and engaged set of commenters. Really appreciate everything I heard. And as we said, like hearing directly from customers and stakeholders. So Commissioner Plant, final thoughts before we adjourn?
Yeah, just thanks to everybody who participated and who's still here at the end of a long day, and appreciate your participation and engagement.
Commissioner Goman.
Yeah, likewise. Really appreciate folks taking time out of their day to come and share their thoughts and perspectives with us. And it sounds like we have some regular listeners in the evidentiary hearing.
I know, right?
It's exciting. So just to note, since tomorrow's Wednesday, we have our regular business meeting in the morning and the hearing resumes at 1 p.m. So no one gets confused by the change in schedule tomorrow. Folks are also welcome to join the regular business meeting in the morning as well, but just want to make sure folks can stay involved. But anyway, thanks so much to everyone for joining us tonight.
Thanks again. Appreciate the thoughtful comments, and with that, we're adjourned. See you guys tomorrow.